Hello and welcome to episode 6 of our Timberborn Update 7 Emberpelts playthrough here in cycle 9, day 17. At the start of a 6-day drought, where last time we built this little food storage complex, we're going to modify this design a little bit based on your feedback, and we also worked on improving our irrigation and all sorts of other stuff, and we have things to talk about with that as well. But let's go ahead and get right into this. A lot of good comments on this in the last episode, and a couple of you pointed out that the beaver statue and the beaver bust down here is quote-unquote not in the spirit of the aesthetic playthrough, but what I'll counter to that is just because something is placed for efficiency doesn't mean it's the only thing that's going to be placed. I just wanted this here so that they would be guaranteed to get the effect, and we can put stuff that looks nice in other places. It's totally okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these half roofs out, and I'm going to replace those with a single here and a single here, just so we have a little bit of a something breaking up the visual there. And then right in front, we have the opportunity, not under monuments, we have the opportunity to use these beaver busts almost kind of like gargoyles to a certain extent. If you put one here and you put one here, then we have space in the corners. We can either put some braziers or we can put in shrubs or something to that effect, just to make stuff look a little bit nicer. But before we do that, before we let them build these beaver busts, I do want to put something in the corner like I said. We also have clocks. That doesn't really look that good right there. We've got wind gauges. Again, that doesn't really look fantastic. We also have all these other things that we maybe could take a look at doing, or as a couple of you suggested, we could put some more rooftop terraces in right here and right here. But I do think I like the idea of the outside of the building, having these roofing things here. We could even, instead of the 2x1, just put another 2x2 in place. But I think, personally, this is going to look pretty good in comparison. It does break that up a little bit. We may end up coming back to replace these with the 1x2s, depending on your thoughts. But we do have to keep in mind that things have a function in terms of getting well-being attached to places. So for right now, I think it's going to make the most sense for us to put these braziers in the corners, because they like fire, and there's fire here, and right here at the corner where it's not, going to be spurting flames directly into the side of a wall. Probably not a bad idea, so we'll let them take care of that. If you like that, let me know. If you don't, that's fine too. Always let me know. Disagreeing is always allowed. If we come over here, another thing that you guys have been suggesting for quite some time, quite some time in episode 6 of a series, I guess, is only maybe 2 episodes, but we need to separate these water pumps from our main irrigation. And we have 5.5 days. Let's hit pause real quick. I think what's going to make the most sense, because we have water here, is going to be to just put in a very simple, for right now, set of levees that is going to keep this from draining all of our irrigation with pumping. And there's still a decent bit of water here to pump because we have a little bit of a deeper area. So the easiest, simplest thing for us to do is going to just be to pop this in here, and then I will put a set of sluices, which this is going to have to be on a platform. A single sluice should be more than enough. This basically functions as an empty block when it's open. And this basically should never close. Just always open all the time. So water can always flow in here, but it can never flow out. But keep in mind, if we have this all the way open, it's still going to suck water out of here. So we may have to play with this a little bit. We may still want to automate it so that it closes when there's a downstream depth, or we don't want to do a sluice here at all, and instead just keep it simple, stupid, etc. with a dam, which I don't know if it's going to get high enough to force over this. We're going to have to see. I don't actually know how deep it is, but if we take a look here, obviously during a drought it's going to be lower, but this seems pretty high. So I don't know exactly what the right thing to do here is going to be. But for the time being, we can absolutely build this and then decide at a later point what is going to make sense. And there's always the simplest option, which is just to have a floodgate that always opens until a drought or a bad tide starts, and then it always shuts. That's going to guarantee that when this is pumping and this is not being refilled, then this cannot drain into here. Is it the most beautiful option? No, but it's also not going to be a permanent thing. So I think the safest thing for right now is to go with this and make sure that when the drought ends, it goes down. When the drought starts, it goes up. Same kind of deal here. And because there's no bad water coming in or out of this area, this is just an on-off switch to make sure the pumps can't take everything else away. So we'll leave that alone. They don't actually have a way to get in here because I took those stairs away, so we will need to give them that option again. That should help. And then we have, obviously, working on this as well. I don't think they can actually build these without stepping on these tiles, which is why I had those paused. So that should be fine. And now we have all sorts of other stuff to talk about as well. And there's been a lot of discussion about what to do with this area specifically. So if we come down here, some of you guys pointed this out. We have 6 of these in a row, these water sources. That's up here on level 13. And right now, this puts clean water into this basin, along with here and here and here. But what's appealing about this is really, really, really close to everything we have going on here. And it wouldn't be that hard for us to just permanently reroute this thing right here. It would, however, require that we do some tunneling, which I have said on a couple of occasions that, I don't really want to do a whole lot of terrain modification in this playthrough. But for the purposes of, water management, making sure we can actually do stuff, I don't think that's against the spirit of that rule. I'm talking about, I don't want to flatten mountains or just have entirely ridiculous looking terrain modification stuff. But something like this, I think is probably fine. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this today or not, but I did want to talk about it with you guys so you could give your input and see if that's something that we would like to see. So moving on from that, we can, long-term, and another good discussion that I liked from you guys, try to turn this into a big reservoir just all by itself. Because, again, we have all of these sources, we have these, and we have these all dumping into here. And while this is open, it would not be that hard to close it. And outside of that, we'll peel this all the way, and I mean all the way down, just to check and see what the exit situation is looking like. This does go all the way under there, so that would need to be dealt with. It's just, this map is really complicated for how water is set up. But it doesn't look like it's going to be super difficult. Just check this angle again. Yeah. It wouldn't take a ton for us to completely wall all this off. We just have to make sure we're going all the way down to check and see, like right here, water would escape that way. And then, of course, up here. But long-term could be a pretty good, pretty fun project to just turn this into a giant lake. And then, obviously, the bad water would have to be shunted off somewhere else. But we've done a ton of those things before in other playthroughs, and I think it's gone well. Again, just would love your input on that. It looks like over here we're getting pretty close. I'm going to triple speed this so we can actually get some more stuff done today. That done there, that done there. Do let me know your thoughts on this being an improvement or lack thereof. I think it's a whole lot better. We can always change stuff based on your feedback. We have this hole here that someone suggested would be a good thing to irrigate. This is a lot of edges, though, for evaporation's sake. But we're on normal mode, so it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. I'm not opposed to irrigating with this, but there's also kind of a limited amount of growable space over here. Just want to keep that in mind as we're going about our business. Alright, so work is progressing here. And now they can do all of that. Looking good, looking good. Yeah. So that should be fine. And then I will set that at a height of 1.0 so we don't suck all of this water out. So something that I've done between last episode and now is, at the suggestion of Bobingabout, added another mod that increases some food recipe availability. So you'll notice now we can eat, well, we can't. I mean, you can go to the store or your local farmer's market or whatever, get a bell pepper and take a bite out of it. Go for it if you want to do that. But now the beavers can actually do that too. They can eat raw bell peppers. And now we have separate juice needs. We've got recipes like scones, pepper bread, and bell pepper juice, I think was the other one that was mentioned as a separate recipe. So this just adds more things for us to do with our unique crops, which I think is always a fun thing, and gives us some opportunities to explore additional farming, which again, always a good thing. And we're going to get better with farming as we get into more areas on the map and design things that might look a little bit nicer. So I look forward to that. But now this is completely separated, albeit simply. That means that these pumps can keep going. We have very, very good water reserves for 56 beavers right now. But if we take care of it now, we don't have to worry about it later. And sometimes that is the best way to deal with stuff. So, since we still have 3.5 days, and I know we've discussed this ad nauseum, I'm going to hit pause again, because we need to actually put a plan of action to put other dams here, because until we take care of all these other things, most of our water is still going to go out this way. And contrary to popular belief, there's not really anywhere else that is causing water to escape from here. It's all going this way, or it's all going out this way. And if we dam this up, then yes, a lot of it is going to go that way. But it's still going to increase the amount of water that's going to go here to a certain point. We do eventually need to get over here. It is very far away. It's not going to take... well, I guess a rather better way to say it is it's going to take too much time to do right now during the drought if we don't want to have, 10% of our beavers angry because they got wet. But since this is dry right now, all I need to do to allow these beavers to have a little bit of a better time is to take, I guess, might as well just do ladders here. Should be fine. Path with railings, just pop that there. That's going to allow us to come over to here and put up just a regular dam. Because we have bad water going through here. All the water going out this way, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's not really anything over here that would be made measurably worse by not having any of this flow coming this way. The water coming over here can go underneath, and yes, we've talked about this a couple times, but just getting this big section here walled off is going to make a huge difference, and it's what we can do right now. Oh, I keep forgetting this goes all the way across. So we need to find the best non-stupid way of doing this. And I think it's probably, based on how this is looking here, and this is a very complex map, it's probably going to make the most sense. Just make sure that isn't going to be another hidden scenario there. No, okay. I just need to have probably right about here, just straight across. That is probably going to make the most sense. So if we do that, we got our shaped levees, we got our diagonal levees that are 8 each. Yes, building 2 of these is more expensive than just building a regular levee. But the regular levee does not look as nice now, does it? There's no guarantee that we're going to keep this here forever, so I don't necessarily want to firmly wed myself to some idea just because it worked at this point in time doesn't mean it's going to work perfectly for the rest of time. So for now, even though it looks kind of dumb, kind of ugly, this is going to be a lot simpler for us to build, I'm pretty sure. So that's 10, so give us 11, 12, and then, come on, seriously? 13 of those there, and I don't think it's going to be any better to go any closer than that. And we can figure out some other way to, make this look not completely stupid. The reality is, the water is going to come back before they have any chance of, actually getting this done. But I think it's going to be fine, no matter what. That being said, I do have to come over here with our pathways. I'm just going to put in a staircase there. And because of how this is set up, I think it's going to make the most sense to have that come up there. Get them to go over here. And then this should allow them to build all of this. We may have an issue where these need to all be built first, because this is going to cause problems. So I'm going to have this stack be the lowest one. because they can stand on this tile that this levee is placed on to build all of this without me having to build anything else. So, of course, for them to do that, we have to have the ladders here and the staircase here and the staircase here prioritized, although this can be just a slightly higher priority. This one has to be done first. That's the most crucial one. We'll make it look better later, or we'll take it out. Right now, this is a functionality thing, just to block all of the water from going out this way. It will still, of course, come out this way, and it will go out that way too. But this will stop this from just being completely nuts. Once that's done, we can come in through here and then take care of all of this other space as well. Although this, I think, would be pretty simple to defeat just because this is basically the only opening here. Those two, and then that comes all the way out to here. So before I forget, I think it's going to make sense to just have that completely blocked off. Although, instead of the levees, just in case we want to retain the ability to still send water here, I will put sluices that I will then set to close by default. We can always change it later, and it's really not that much more expensive. We have the materials, it's fine. That's going to be the easiest thing to do. I probably aren't going to get to it today, but I want to make sure we place that there so that it's not a problem later. And then over here we've already kind of discussed. On this level, level 3, there is going to be some water that goes out that way. Now, but this is the same level here as these sluices, and not all of the water can fit through here. Some of it is going to have to go through here just because, assuming this gets closed off, just because of how the physics of water flow works. This is really only a one wide thing right here at that level. So it could rise up and force itself to come out this way. Increased pressure through here is also going to help keep bad water out. There will be bad water in here as these get poisoned in bad tides anyway, so really not that big of a deal. Actually, you know what? Thinking about it now, this would be a very good bad tide diversion mechanic. If I can remember where I placed everything. There we go. Yeah, so if this only opens during bad tides, then that would force all that nasty water out that way, and that's the lowest point of this whole thing, minus this bit down here. I'll tell you what. Let's just close this when it's uncontaminated. I know they're not going to get to build that today, or they might, depending on how things go. But again, I think this should work. It won't be the best thing ever, but it's going to be better than what we have. We'll just have to be patient for them to build it. All right, I know game was paused for a long time. Sorry if you don't like that, but it's very helpful to talk through this, for me at least, and explain why I've made decisions I've made, because, you know, you guys aren't always going to understand what's going on inside my head. I don't always understand what's going on inside my head. So taking the time to explain usually is a very good choice. So since we are on that subject, I've got 3 vacancies, or not 3 vacancies, 3 extra beavers. These are all staffed. We actually should just use this to do this. Are there any jobs I can increase? Hauling post all the way up to 10, that's easy, that takes care of that. I did install smart power as well. I don't think that's something that really needs a whole lot of explaining. It just shuts buildings off based on power consumption. And smelter's fine too. Yeah. Should be okay. So this is already reaping benefits. Right here, we still have water on this side, and they've sucked all of this out here. And they can continue to do so because that has depth. But we're not taking away the irrigation. Is this still going to dry out? Yes, it is. But it's going to last longer, and that matters. Long term, though, we do still need a better solution, and most likely that solution is going to involve forcing as much water as possible to come through here. Eventually, we'll get there. So it looks like we're building here. Process is going pretty well. I know these beavers are all wet. They really don't like that, but, you know, sometimes you just have to do stuff you don't like. That's life. If we peel this back a couple of layers, we do have a very nice colony here underneath the cliff overhang. It still needs some more stuff done to it, and we're about to get to the point where we need to have some more beavers anyway. So probably worth exploring, maybe today, maybe not, what we might want to do here. I also really like the idea of having beaver housing that goes across these gaps like we've talked about. I'm not sure if this is going to be a great place for that or not. Might have to get a little creative. I do see that this right here, height 9, this height 9, could be a good place to employ something like the tenement lodge. And then buildings that go across this gap here, or at least sky bridges. These are really cool. I know we've talked about these. Just really, really fun stuff to make it so that, you know, the beavers can have some extra mobility and we can have some different designs. If you remember the live stream playthrough we did with these guys, I don't know, a long time ago, we did do something kind of like that, and I thought it was fun. You guys seem to like it as well. Now we got 1.1 days left. I don't see the little ring of death around our water here, so we do still have a little bit of time before this starts drying out. And it is going to take like a day or so before the water really gets restored. Out there it is. Okay, this is about to dry out very soon. But we're under 1 day. That is a big improvement. Even if it's not perfect, it is still something that was desperately needed. I know we have the tomatoes that are drying out, but they're pretty resilient. Bell peppers, not so much. So those will have to be replanted. But all things considered, feeling pretty good. Since this is already about to dry out, I will go ahead and place a sluice here, just so we can have one that is going to always close above any amount of contamination, and then that's it. It'll let more water through here. It'll keep this more full. Just a no-brainer. And there's still water here, 0.3 days. I am very happy with how this has gone. And now you can see just how much of the polluted water was left in here. But now it's all going to be evaporated, and we just have that tiny little bit left. And there's our drying out, but it's only 0.1 days. That's a big win. That is a huge, huge win. And they did get this thing built here. I'm going to regular prioritize this now. And yes, the beavers are going to get and remain wet, but it will be okay, because this is really, really, really going to help. We also do have water coming out this way. That is what I was talking about earlier. Maybe actually worth investigating a little bit more. Yeah, there's a hole there. There isn't. That's not a water source down there, is it? Wowee, I'm dumb. Yeah, I'm going to own that for 100% sure. Alright, folks. I'm not too proud to admit when I've made a mistake. Let's take advantage of this. Let's take advantage of this and put a sluice here. I'll do 2 sluices here. And then I will do 2 sluices here. This is going to close below contamination. This is going to close above contamination. Always turn this, come on, always turn this off. Just make sure both of those are set. Yeah, that's fine. It's not turned on anyway. Why, okay, so why is the slider on the left here for 0? Why is the slider on the right here for 0? Very strange. Anyway, so this is going to let clean water come through here. We'll just put levees here. And then I suppose, I know this kind of throws off our whole geometry party over here. But again, it's not a perfect thing. It's not a forever thing. It's a, this is what we can do right now thing. I'm going to keep that paused there. They should be able to, if I put this, I don't need to have that, but if I put this path here, they should be able to build all of this. This has now become a very interesting problem. I completely forgot that that was a thing. Well, that is actually a very happy accident, because then that's going to force this all to come through here. Cool, cool, cool. So this is now at the correct height. That's fine. Yes, the canola has died, but we have enough. It's fine. We're also not really using it. Water coming in here. This has not been built because I, you know, haven't done that yet. That's fine. We're working on it. This is now opened to get refilled. Baby steps, folks. Baby steps. The more I look at this, though, I feel like the middle of this needs something, but the way that I place the rooftop terrace, I don't think that's going to happen unless I build additional structures here. The beaver statue, I think, does need to go somewhere. I thought it would be too big to go here. So maybe these medical beds also, I did say don't need to stay here. Let's remove those. And maybe the beaver statue can go right in the center. And then to the left and right, we can put some shrubs. Doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad. We also have hedges. Very, very cheap, simple things for us to build. Improve our curb appeal slightly. Just to do one of those numbers. Have that go around the outside. Just that front corner. It's going to make a big difference to make this look just a bit nicer. We'll come in with the wooden path with railings. Just so this is a little bit more symmetrical. Take these out. Yeah, that's going to look pretty good, if I say so myself. Yeah, they're putting in the work. I know that they're wet, they're miserable, but, you know, sometimes that is life. Sometimes you just have to be wet and miserable. Okay, so this is immediately backfired because this hasn't been filled in. Let's make that a priority to get that taken care of. Now all of our lovely extra water is leaving that way, and we don't want that to happen. So we have 2,300 water. It does say going down because of whatever reason. But we have plenty of storage. Wait, the number went up, but the arrow is still down. All right, make it make sense. Yeah, we're not going to have metal. There you go. We're not going to have metal over here forever. And once that's done, then we'll probably abandon this for the time being. Maybe we can put some sort of outpost or something here later. But now we're starting to redirect how the water flows. We're starting to see interesting patterns in all these different areas that are flooding. It's going to give us some good opportunities to investigate the water mechanics on this map and come up with ways to make stuff flow a little bit cleaner for a little bit longer. I do think long-term I do want to cap every single bad water source with either discharge or a bad water rig. But we're still a decent ways off from that. This has been put here. Downstream depth is 0.49 now. I'm very curious how high it gets. Because I do know until we have all of the flow forcibly redirected, it's not going to get very much higher. They're still working on this. I mean, that's fine. We do need this here. But before we have a bad tide, we absolutely need to have at least these two sluices in place and the rest of this. They'll take care of it. They always do. But right now we need to add some more beavers. And I do like how hidden this is, but at the same time, at some point we're going to have some sort of nice-looking housing complex. And this is not going to be that. This is just a utilitarian way of adding beavers without it looking horrible. I do think it would be nice to build a housing complex around some sort of recreational thing. Like we have the exercise plaza here that's only 400 science. Not really that expensive to build. And could be a fun basis for something. So like, say for example, somewhere around here, we could only have an entrance through one of the buildings perhaps. Wouldn't look too bad if we just put this here. And then we have housing kind of around it, terrace style. These regular lodges, keep in mind, since they share doors, we don't actually have to have their front doors go anywhere. But what we could do, and it might actually be fun, is to turn these around here. So that we have kind of like, not really balconies per se, but just doorways that wouldn't necessarily have to be used. We could do something like a hedge in between and give these guys a path with a railing, just like that. I mean, they're probably not going to use it, but it's one of those visual details that I think would really, really make a big difference. So here's what we can do. We can take our housing walkway entrance. That would directly dump into here, and then connect everything else with walkways. And of course we can just put other housing on top of that at some point in time. But here, across that way, is going to put a doorway there, and allow us to add on this side. And then on this other side over here, we can do basically the same thing. I'll flip it though. So if we put the doorway that way, going to keep this, even though we're not really going to see it, I do still like the idea of these beavers getting the same kind of stuff going on everywhere that we can do that. So again, that's an overhang. It's kind of buried, but it works. It works. And then we don't have doorways here. These are all connected, obviously. And then depending on how we want to do things over here, I know we can't get into this segment of path because of the geometry of the doorway here. But what we can also do, keep in mind this is adding 12 beavers, by the way. I don't want to grow it too quickly, but you add 12 beavers there. We can come over here with our little thing, and we can do one of these numbers. Just doesn't really matter where the doorway sits because they will all be connected. With one of these kind of deals, all we'd have to do is put that lodge there, and then we also have the ability to do sky bridges if we had an entrance or something. This could go there. Two-ways are also a thing. The ladder will also connect, right like so, if we want to do that. That might be the easiest way to get these to connect, or we could put a vertical lodge with another entrance, say, right about here. We don't have to give them their own separate thing, because the way this looks could be a balcony just like that. Just a little, like a Juliet balcony, I think is the correct term. That doesn't look too bad. I don't think so, at least. And that would get all of this connected to this same complex, and we could take our time figuring out what might work better over here. So they'll take care of that. Obviously, right now, their priority is looking at all this mess. And you know what? I know I'm doing a whole lot of pausing and checking here. I'm going to go in dev mode real quick just to check the strength on this, because this is 5 sources. Okay, that's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's leave dev mode and peel this back up. So it's only 5 strength. That is fine for our purposes right now, because there is no falling to happen outside of these sluice gates. If there was, we'd have to have 3, because the waterfall limit per edge is 2.2, which would give us 4.4, which, you know, not going to play nice. But since this is the same level on the exit, it should be perfectly fine. So those are closed. That means right now we have all of the water coming out through this hole and through these two. We shouldn't have any problems when this gets completely closed off. We probably are going to want to cap this with impermeable floors before we get too comfortable. But I am really curious to see, once that is finished, what this is going to do here. Okay, so we have not flooded over the top like I thought. I think we should be okay. When this goes to bad tide, we're going to have to keep an eye on this just to see if that's going to be a big issue or not. And also, as they build these things, I want to make sure that we stagger them so we don't have birth waves and death waves and all that stuff. We are still playing on the default Emberpelts breeding model, which is to fill every available bed. We can, if we choose, change over to the Iron Teeth style model where they have to be brewed in the vats, and then that's how you control how quickly your population grows and how large it gets. I don't really want to do that, so we'll just leave that alone until we have a reason to do otherwise. And I think there's a third option that might be a combination of those two or something. We got to get this levee done. We got to get this levee done. That can be put back on that, because we're going to have a drought or a bad tide soon enough. Has this raised our level or at all? I don't think it probably has, but we'll check. Yeah, it's 0.49, 0.48. It's about the same. But as soon as there's fewer options for this to leave here, so let's block that off. We've got it looks like a pretty robust flow coming through here. And that's going to get stopped. So I anticipate when that happens, we'll see maybe a little bit of an increase here. Why are these open? That is closed. Why is this? Oh, I locked it open. Okay. That needs to be closed. That is going to substantially change this, I think. Okay, it feels like that's going up. 0.56, okay. 0.57. And that just got closed. There should be a pretty sizable surge here in just a moment. See, 0.62, 0.63, 0.64. Yeah, here we go. Here we go, folks. 0.66. Just for reference, we do have an overflow protection at 0.75 over here. but that is the only exit. 0.77, 0.78, 0.79, so we should see clean water pouring over the top, and we do. Yeah, okay. That worked so much better than I thought it would. At least for right now. I think we can be pretty satisfied with that. Very, very, very good. Very good. Alright, are we making any progress over here? Not really. I'm assuming that's what they're going to start building after they take care of all this mess. And we are going to want to start expanding food at some point soon. Remember I said I was going to put dams here. Now that we have the number cruncher, and it is running... Oh, this is the smart power. I haven't messed with any of this yet. I just wanted to install it. Yeah, see, we're making so much science. I think I feel pretty comfortable starting to remove these inventors entirely, and maybe we start transforming this to grow some more stuff. We'll see what happens. We have all sorts of different things to take care of. Bad tide approaching. Very heavy point, very healthy 0.77 downstream depth. I am very curious though. If I raise this to 0.8, how high can I get this to go before this floods? So obviously you don't want that. But there is going to be a point where this trips and it just becomes a huge, huge problem. I also foresee a very substantial issue with the bad water situation. Because now I don't have any clean water coming through here during a bad tide. Obviously all this bad water is going that way. But all the bad water coming out of here that doesn't escape this way or this way will come out here. So let's go back down here again. Okay, so this is really the only lowest exit here. This will become quite polluted. That'll go out that way. You can actually see how quickly that's flowing if you look really closely. And that is flowing into here? Is it? Yeah, this is flowing this way. Oh, that's all of this water. Okay, so... Alright, I'm not really that worried about bad water coming through here anymore then. If this bad water is all going to get shoved out that way. But the issue we might end up having is that this will become kind of a haven for bad water. So at some point this will probably have to go straight the way across. This is just slightly cheaper to do this way, going to that corner instead of coming here. We'll take a look. We'll see what happens. Alright, get that done there. What's our water level? 0.8. No flooding. That's probably about as good as we can expect, and probably about as good as we're going to require with a normal mode drought and bad tide length. Yeah, I'm excited about the possibilities here. Okay, they built these two, got 6 empty beds. I probably are not going to want much more than that at a time, so we might have to pause some of these new ones when they get built. I'd really prefer not to have huge birth and death waves if I can help it. It should also be noted that this levee is in place here, so that this is a completely separate pocket. And we probably don't need to have this here anymore, but until it becomes a huge problem, I probably don't want to mess with it. How long until we get a bad water discharge? I have to have dynamite. Okay, well that could be a good goal in the midterm here. Because this is just such an easy low-hanging fruit. We peel this back. You've got clean water coming out at the same spot you have a bad tide generator thing here. And that's actually not connected anywhere else, so this would really clean things up if we could cap this. That would not be a bad idea at all, and there is some sort of a pathway for us to get up here if we felt so inclined, but we don't have dynamite yet. And dynamite in this mod, the color change that you just saw was because I have the nighttime turned off, is the same explosives factory, takes bad water, but we have to obviously harvest it, which means we have to have bad water pumps. We can research and build those, and the only like really permanent bad tide scenario. Okay, I was going to check this. Yeah, okay, no overflow. Good, so that's looking really nice. Oh wait, no, I didn't have to worry about this at all getting polluted because all the bad water is going that way. And if all the bad water goes out these other holes here, which they very well could, yeah, that's surging out that way. And that is, oh, that is like torrential going there. We might not see bad water come through here. It looks... okay, that might actually have a little bit of flow. But it looks like it's all going out here. We'll keep an eye on this. But at any rate, this is looking good, folks. It's looking real good. I just need to make sure that gets raised to 0.8, because that's what I wanted that to be set to. This is, of course, all the way up. Yeah! Oh, yes, we're looking so good here. Huge improvement taking care of that. Absolutely massive. Slowly growing population. Yes, the shrubs with the Emberpelts are a different color, in case you were not aware. I can't remember if I said greenery or not when I was talking about this, but I obviously was just talking about vegetation. It's not literally green. What else can I pop in here? What might look good? Exercise plaza, dance hall. Maybe the dance hall would look better here instead of the exercise plaza. No, you know what? I'll keep the exercise plaza. The dance hall can be a separate building. If I had a little bit more, that might actually not look bad there. Huh. Possibilities. Could also turn it around and have the entrance that way. And I guess that depends on how this terrain is going to behave. Well, for right now, this is fine. Looking good, looking good. I did say I was going to get rid of these inventors, so we get rid of those at the very least, because remember, I want to turn this into irrigation. This food here probably needs to get moved. This is all just raw materials, food-wise. Yeah, that's all going to get moved. Before we delete this stuff, we probably should have it replaced somewhere else. So if we move some of the industrial stuff, especially like right here, this needs to go. Wouldn't be a bad idea to have some of the industrial over here. And I know there's at least a couple of you, or one person multiple times, who said this. To put windmills on the cliffside here. I'm not opposed to the idea. I just generally don't like working with these because they can be very annoying to deal with. But in a couple places, it might make sense. You could also, you know, put gravity batteries hanging off the side. But very famously, I do not like these. That's why I have the Flywheels mod installed. And we could very easily make use of these. Regular flywheels, medium ones, large ones. These are cool because they can hang off the side of something, or this one specifically has to bridge between gaps. Depending on how you want to do this, could actually look pretty interesting. And then we have the framed ones, which in this scenario probably would go between two windmills. So you know what? I will throw you a bone here. I'll unlock this. We'll put two of those there, and then in between, I think I will take the horizontal framed flywheel. Here and here. And at one point, I think when these were built, they had a flavor text that referenced me in there. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, putting these guys right here going to give us a little bit of power continuity. Not that we really need too much of that because we do have engines, but these do look interesting at the very least. All we are is sawdust in the wind. Yeah, Folktales definitely wrote that. Nobody else. Get them to take care of all of this, and we can start moving some of this production up here. Slowly. We'll get there. So now that we have all of this as bad water, all of this is going to be eventually... Okay, good. There's a little bit of nasty over here, but it's fine. It won't be that bad forever. This will slowly get forced through here. This won't open until this is sufficiently clean, which may end up being a problem. Okay, why did we get such a big bump there? 'Cause I've only deleted stuff. Unsure of what might have caused that. Yeah, there I am. It's going to be a game changer. You better believe it. Anyway, so I just selfishly wanted to show you guys that. Pretty cool nod by Battery Smooth there. We got lumber mills, and we also have the large lumber mill, which we have science. Let's just go ahead and unlock this. This is a much more efficient building. In 1.3 hours, this one turns 1 log into 1 plank. In 2/3 of an hour, this turns 1 log into 1 plank. So twice as fast, more or less. And it does have 2 beavers working there, so theoretically the beaver work is the same, but it only consumes 75 HP. It is unfortunately asymmetrical with this this 4-wide thing here. That's not the end of the world. Oh wait, are these spinning opposite ways? It's hard to see, but no. So I'll tell you what. Let's. I know there's parasitic drain 7 HPH, but they do still retain some. So I'm going to keep using these like that. So we'll put that there. Going to do the large lumber mill. I guess if I did it like this, that might look pretty good. We do have 2 of these right now, so one of these would replace that. And then the large gear workshop, same kind of story. Put that right like so. This is only generating 254 HP, and this takes 180 by itself. This takes 75. So we're right on the cusp of that being a good idea. But it's going to really condense some of this stuff and give us more space to plant. And also make it possible for us to have some farming going on up here. So, you know, incremental improvements. That's what we do. And it looks like this is cleaning up nicely. Contamination behind it is 17%. I have that set to close above 1. So another very, very, very good argument for us to just divert clean water directly out of this side. But we're not quite there yet, and we won't be for a little bit. I am very curious, though, to see if this is going to make a huge difference. Remember I said I was going to put these in. This is still too polluted for me to want to send beavers down here directly. But long term, we could just go across here. I know we have our 4x1 bridge. If I had a 6x1, I have to remember which ones are which. The 6x1 bridge here would get us about halfway across. The problem is going to be the height difference here. So we might have to play with some of that stuff. Or we just say, you know what, just go in under here. Just let the beavers get wet. That's fine. Just move on from there. Let's, as we're starting to round this episode down, try to get this up and running. I don't think we need to have these 2 lodges here. I would like to kind of concentrate the beaver storage as much as I can. This is just a fun early game way to avoid ladders and staircases because you can always just build the houses. And yeah, let's see, industrial area. I said we're going to do path with railings just to get those connected. For now, until we get rid of that, I will just do this so they can utilize that. And this is okay. Well, this will have enough planks by the time this is done. What a great sound. This doesn't need to stay here though. All right, so that's done. All that stuff can go away. And now we have so much more space to plant more crops. And we are still out of bell peppers. So let's turn this into an opportunity to have a lot more bell peppers. Just plant all of this as bell pepper and move on. We've got beets that we don't have anywhere to put because our storage for food stuff is kind of bad. We're working on fixing it though. This is already a huge, huge benefit. And obviously these aren't going to be, you know, rotating forever. But we're going to have a total charge of 8,000 HPH. That should be enough, in theory, to offset the windmills not going all the time. We do see 39... Now it says stopped at all because it's 255 down, but... 21-ish hours remaining. Okay, and that's smart power also really, really helps with this. Obviously, we can have additional windmills, we can have regular engines, whatever. But, you know, I do genuinely try when you guys make suggestions to adopt them if I can, if it's going to be something that makes sense for what we're doing. And I gotta admit, it looks pretty cool. Looks a little bit better than I thought it would. So now let's start moving stuff around here. I've got corn, empty storage, bell pepper storage that's basically empty. These grills will need to go somewhere else. And since this is kind of our power network area, I guess it would make sense to to have a whole lot of this here. But I also kind of made a soft commitment in my head to not have a whole bunch of these buildings just touch each other constantly. We can space things out. I know these touch each other, but it looks nice because it's you know, symmetrical with the windmills here. I'm going to try. I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it, but I'm going to try to avoid just big interconnected industrial stuff as we go forward. So please do keep me honest with that. Just need to figure out a better way to make stuff look just a tad bit nicer. But yes, grills. We now also have the grilled beets recipe. Will need to be put somewhere else. We have our completed food storage here. Don't necessarily want to mix completed food storage and industrial processing of food if we don't have to, but there may be a way to make this look kind of nice. We take this out of triple speed so we're not just rocketing through here. If we have 3 grills for all of our oh, this also means that this is no longer adequate food storage because we have we have all these other recipes now for ready-to-eat foods. We have, wow, 14, and there's only 10 represented here. Or 8. No, there's 10. Okay, well, you know what that means, folks. What we can do is we can just add 1, 2, 3, 4 on the outside here, and then keep this one thing in the center, and then do some sort of other interesting structure on top of that. I think that is not a bad idea. So I know we just built this today, but here's what I'm going to do. Just take all of that out. And because you guys seem, well, the ones who, you know, vocalized at least seem to be pretty opposed to how I did this, I'll take these out so we don't have to worry about it. And we'll do something else. So regular medium warehouses. Here, 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 and here. I don't have to build any more ladders. That's just how this is set up. And then here. Oh, I have to remember which ones are new. Apple pies is not new. We already have one for that, but we aren't storing any. Apples, baked beets. Bell peppers can now be eaten raw, so that's fine to have there. Cornbread, I think I already had one. Yep, looks like I did. Grilled beets, that's definitely a new one. Grilled bell peppers was already there. Pepper bread is a new one, and I think this is scones. Yep. Alright, so that's going to accommodate all of the new recipes we got thanks to the mod that Bobingabout recommended. So now I've got a chance to redo all of this. So, I have the ability. I am going to have another ladder to get to the back corner of this to put whatever I put there. But I have the ability to go back to these 2x2s. I don't have to go back to the 2x2s. But I do think I like the idea here. Nope, I pushed the wrong button. I have the ability to put the 2x2 here, and then I put those 2 things on the top. Now I can put 2x2s on the back here. Or I can put 2 more of these rooftop terraces and have some sort of other thing. That's a 1x2 we also could use if we wanted to. Endless options, honestly. We have a whole lot of different things. For right now, I think I'm going to try and just roughly duplicate what we had before. Just because that's probably the easiest way to do it. And I know to build this in the very corner, I am going to have the staircase, or the ladders, I just put right there. I'm not opposed to that, but what I may end up doing eventually is replacing these with the metal platforms that go across this, if that's even going to allow me to... Oh, yep, it will. And then I can have some sort of other structure up here, but we could also have this be a rooftop terrace, this be a rooftop terrace, and then that just be kind of open like that. I don't know, like, what are your thoughts about that? Because right now this backside is completely open. We could also make this an exit to go somewhere else. I don't know. I think for right now I'm probably inclined to just do this. And that will end up being a ladder here and a ladder here. The only reason I'm doing this as a separate ladder is because that was already there. And then we can probably take that out. Is that going to waste more or less material? Let's see, I'm only going to lose 2 planks doing that instead of putting in... Yeah, okay, that's still cheaper long term when I get rid of that. Alright, so they'll take care of that. Get this built up. Think about other ideas that we can let them do. It's probably a good time to go ahead and end this episode. I know you guys maybe want to see a little bit more happen, but don't forget, we got a lot of good stuff done. We got the water situation for the farm irrigation not necessarily solved, but substantially improved. We have some ideas for bad water redirection kind of laid out, discussed. Maybe in the next episode or two we can start making moves toward that. We started relocating some of our industrial stuff, and I know there's still work to be done, but this seems like a pretty good place to stop. So I do always want to thank the Beard Boosters for their contributions, making it possible to do these videos the way we want to do them without trying to chase the algorithm or do the integrated sponsor spots that I'm sure all of you guys are absolutely sick to death of hearing. We can just focus on having fun, and those people who do want to contribute to the channel, make sure that we can continue doing this, can do so, and everybody else gets to enjoy a video with no sponsor integration. So those folks are always going to be just such a huge, important part of this community. I'm always going to be thankful for them and for you, even if you're not on that list. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, I hope you stay safe, you have fun, and you come back and see us again soon for more Beavers. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.